In this video, I'm going to explain why you should learn something competitive, why you should learn a competitive skill. Okay? And there's obviously a lot of reasons, but I'm going to get into the main meat. Okay? That sounds extremely weird, but I'm going to get into the main reason why you should learn something competitive, which is the fact that it will force you to break down your ego. Okay? And this is so important to learning anything, not just competitive skills, but just to being a well-informed person and being somebody who's able to update to new challenges and experiences. Being able to lose your ego, place yourself in a lower position to somebody else, and being willing to learn is going to be extremely important with whatever skill you try to learn, whether it's a competitive skill or not. And the reason I say you should learn a competitive skill is because when it comes to competitive skills, you actually have to lose your ego to some degree. Now, obviously, it's impossible to lose your ego completely, guys. I understand that. I have an ego too. At times, I think I'm right, you're wrong. Of course, I think that. But I've played many competitive video games, competitive sports, a variety of things that I've managed to reach a relatively high rank in. And the one common thread across those things is that I would consistently have this view that I placed onto the game where I thought, this is how it should be. This is what should work, okay? And if it didn't work, and for example, if this is a team game, I would just blame it on my team, or I wouldn't take any personal responsibility for that failure. And I was trapped in, this staleness of this stagnation where I wasn't improving. And the only way that I was able to finally get out of that is when I thought, I don't care what I have to try, I just want to improve, okay? So instead of fighting for what I think is right, fighting for what I think should work, I've got to take a step back logically, okay? And go find what actually works in practice, okay? And that's actually really difficult to do. And the reason for that, again, is because it involves the dissolution of your ego, the dissolvement of thinking you're right or you're some kind of like prodigy who just knows everything. And, there may be some people out there who are very naturally gifted at going through this process. But for me, it wasn't that way. I was very stiff and rigid. I thought I was right and they were wrong. And when I finally just was so sick of being stuck in the same place, I started just trying to absorb new information and try it out, whether or not I thought it was right or not. And a lot of that, what that looks like is if you're playing a game with somebody who's higher elo than you, or you're doing a sport with somebody who's better than you at that sport, is taking yourself and just placing yourself in the learning position, which again is like an ego thing because you have to place yourself below them. It doesn't mean you're a worse person than them, okay? It just means at that particular field and at that particular thing that you're doing, they have more expertise, they have more knowledge than you, okay? And when you stop looking at them as like this ego battle and you start looking at it as not in like a malicious way, but what can I gain from this person? How can I take what they give me and use it to propel myself even above them, okay? So it's like at this level, you get this information and you just keep going and keep absorbing that information. But the only way to do that is, again, to break down your ego, to accept that at every single step of the way to mastery, you're going to have to revise the way you look at things. You're going to have to find new information. You're going to have to go through the process of realizing you were wrong over and over and over again. And the more you do that, the better you get at it, okay? And, I find it really difficult to interact with people and deal with people that haven't gone through this process in their life. And the true honest thing is that most people are not willing to put themselves in the learner's role, are not willing to lower themselves down, to lower their guard and accept new things because their ego holds them back. But doing something competitive will absolutely force that out of you if you don't want to be stuck. And another great thing about, competitive sports or competitive video games or whatever is that usually there's a ranking system, right? You know where you fall on the ladder. There's no hiding it. It's out for everyone to know. Okay, if you're doing a sport and you lose to somebody over and over again, you're obviously sometimes you're going to lose a game just because you did poorly or whatever. But if you're consistently losing to them over and over, they're better than you. You just have to accept that. And once you accept that, you can actually take in more information and grow. You can actually start to change. Okay? But again, there's a relatively small amount of people that are willing to put themselves into this role. And when you do this, if you put yourself like below somebody in this certain field, right, and you're trying to learn from them, don't take it as like, I'm not as good of a person at them, or I'm just terrible at this. That's not true at all. By doing this, you can improve more quickly than them to get to where they did, and you can even improve past them. You have to look at it as your own selfish learning experience, actually. Which it isn't really selfish, because most people really do enjoy, sharing the knowledge they have. And all the knowledge that you need is honestly online. You can go find it right now. And just being able to do that is just such a superpower when it comes to learning. And, people will actually wonder how you got so good at things quickly, or they'll think you're like, I'm not saying that this is what people tell me or anything, but, people, I was going to say, like, they'll think you're like a savant or something, and it just all comes naturally, which isn't necessarily what people tell me. But, people tell me, oh, you just had talent for that, or you're just able to do that. And the truth is that that's not what it is at all. It's just that I'm willing to accept that I'm going to be wrong over and over and over again. And I have an open mind to absorbing information from people that are better than me, people that are in a higher position than me in that skill, and continue moving forward. And developing that has been absolutely crucial for me to, improve at anything I want to do. And, a lot of people, if you do that, they'll start to get a big head and think they're better than you. But just remember, you can easily overcome that in the long run. Now, if you actually meet somebody who's really, gone through this process and understands this process, they're not going to treat you like they're better than you. They're just going to help you along your journey and even grow together. So if you can do that, I think you'll learn much quicker. Anyways, guys, have a great day.